of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome to the meeting.
Sitting in the wrong spot, and you can't see anybody.
Yeah, you're back here, but you can hide behind it.
It's a good plan, huh, Donna?
Dave, I think you should sit in the back row because that's where the heckler,
I'm not sitting back there, I'll get
That's what-
paid for that.
that's where the hecklers are.
Backbenchers, right? So you got the back.
Married when you do that.
We're being recorded.
Yes.
Uh-oh. Okay, next thing is approval of the minutes for June 29th. And we didn't get them.
No, you didn't. I didn't see him either. So we'll have to put that off till next time.
Okay,
A lot of times she brings them through, you get them on like Monday or something. So I put it on here when the agenda goes out, but
then we're on to department reports and I'll call on Mr. Dunton, Public Works.
Good evening. Last Thursday, town manager and myself opened up the paving bids and bids on Cressy Road. Put them into a spreadsheet. They'll be available for your next meeting. I also have my recommendations on paving at that point. The price is high. It's astronomically high. So I'm weighing my options, trying to do pros and cons and come up with a good recommendation for you. Next week, shooting for Tuesday morning at this point, weather dependent, to do the repair on the Wilson Pond culvert, which is right at the entrance to the Beaver Brook Campground. We have assessed it, reassessed it. We have a good plan as to what we're gonna do. We think we'll be there. We're allowing for at least a whole day, but we think we'll probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be done in half a day with it. Campground's aware, they said that's a great day, or if it spills into Wednesday, it's a good day because they don't have very many arrivals and departures. They won't have a large campers trying to squeeze through a one lane on that culvert. My biggest concern is it's always the can of worms potential with a culvert that's 20 years old. We have a good solid plan. We've vetted it, and I just am hoping for the best result we can have. But we won't know until we're there. So that's coming up next week. The following week, we will be doing, well, the contractor, Fourniers Tree Service, will be doing some large maple tree removal on Norris Hill Road. Total of 4 trees. That'll involve detours and road closures for the day, or half the day, however quick they can maneuver. I've spoken to the PD. We're going to coordinate together to make sure that there's notice, there's signage, and it's easy for people to have as little inconvenience as possible. I don't expect any issues with that, as the professional tree cutter will be doing it. And he showed his skill when he did the trees on Maple Street in record time with hardly any disruption. So I expect the same on Norris Hill. At the moment, that's about what I want to cover. Questions, thoughts?
I had a question from a Cottonawagan Lake resident about whether or not the dam will be closed, or is it still open because of the lack of water, of rain that we've had, that it continues to inch away.
I haven't laid eyes on the grate in a week, but I know the level's got to be down. At this point, it's probably hinging on possibly not even flowing through it, but I'd have to put eyes on it to see.
Yeah.
It is not.
It's not.
Everything that's going through is going under.
Yeah. So, and we're in drought.
Yes.
But I don't have any updates. Not that I'm the key person. I haven't heard anything on the engineering status or repair recommendation status. So at this point, it's status quo, unfortunately.
So it's open, but nothing's going over the dam. It's going,
It's going through the leak.
It's going through the seat.
okay. Going through the hole that's there. Okay. So
basically.
really, there's nothing that we can do to stop the lake from going down any further, other than pray for rain?
Right,
So-
and, you know, I laid eyes on Anabescook Dam, Jug Stream Dam today, and the water's about 2 inches below the cement overflow. And, you know, 2 weeks ago, it was 3 inches above the cement, so the dry conditions are definitely ramping up.
Mhm.
There's a resident that lives on Maple Street that was asking me if I had any information about it. He lives right along the stream there. And he said if anybody, when they come up with a plan to figure out what they're gonna do, he said, I'd like to see some kind of writing, a report on what's happening. He said if the thing washes out, my home is in danger. So he was just wondering if we could put some kind of public information out there as to when the engineer report comes in to get some information out to the public.
And we will, once we know what the plan is, we'll make it accessible, make it out, it'd be out there for everybody to know, so.
Good.
So,
Justin, while we're on the topic of that dam, do you?
I haven't heard anything. The last I knew, the engineer had taken a couple of vendors down there and he was waiting for them to give quotes. And I don't know where that is. I'll follow up.
How's Maple Street coming?
they are almost up to the post office property, starting from Gray Mill. They said they would have been done today, but they had equipment failure yesterday and they lost half the day. So they're coming right along. Now that they've got a full crew there, they are doing well. And the sidewalk was not like the North Main Street sidewalks where it had 18 to 24 inches of rock and cement down. It was much less substantial sidewalk. So the excavation is going fairly well and quickly.
And I'm assuming DOT is done with their piece of whatever they're doing on Cobbessy Road and
They,
where
They haven't
Maple.
done anything. They haven't done anything down at where they're supposed to be at some point down at the
yeah,
sewer pumping station. They haven't
They haven't
touched
touched that.
that.
They haven't touched that yet.
they,
Because I saw a lot of activity
yeah,
on Joe's end of Cobbessy Road.
yeah. The days bun together, I apologize. I don't know if it was Monday or last Thursday when they made it all the way to Gilman Road.
Mhm.
But I went through today I was going to South Monmouth, but I decided I'd just go through the zone to see how far they'd gotten, and they weren't back. And so they obviously, I don't think they're done, but I don't know how far they're going, but they probably detoured to another project, would be my guess for the time being, but I don't know. But they made it all the way to Gilman Road.
Yes. It's as far as they've gone.
So Maple Street is, they're just excavating, they haven't done any paving or any of that.
No, they're not there yet. They're excavating. They're filling back in as they go, and it looks like they're putting it to grade as they go, so it's not extremely disruptive. But yeah, I don't know for sure, but they probably made it close to the post office or halfway up the post office today. I'd imagine that they will be on to the next phase very quickly.
And so the next phase would be asphalt?
I think it'd probably, I don't know for sure, probably be a few days of getting the grade right, and I think they will pour the concrete curb before asphalt. But I can attempt to get an update. I think by the time the next meeting it'll be well along, so.
Dan, do you know if they were moving the CMP poles as part of this project, or are those gonna stay where they are?
Most are staying,
A lot of them look like they're right in the center of the sidewalk.
they are, yes, but the delay to get them moved, that project wouldn't be done for a long time.
That wasn't part of the plan, and
And I wasn't here for it, but I've heard that the delay on Academy Road was like a 9-month delay waiting on CMP pole movement. So I think that factored into making the best of it.
Is mowing the sides of the roads in the
Yes.
works or?
Yes, I actually got that arranged today. And
Actually, he started, I just didn't run into them. I navigated around them.
Yes,
I assume that's
Lovely.
why somebody asked me for Andy Baker's. name.
most likely. Yes.
Andy's doing it? Oh,
I think so.
I had the request for quotes, proposals, anything out for over 30 days. The time for anybody to submit something to come and gone. So I started digging, trying to find somebody that was willing. His name came up, I contacted him. Met up this morning. We talked about what needed to be done, what I wanted done. He gave me a quote that was within the budget, and I said, go for it. He showed me his insurance forms, his liabilities. He's all set. He's legit. He's also doing mowing, roadside mowing for town of Manchester, town of Hollowell, and town of Randolph.
Yeah.
So yeah. And just by chance, he started today because we talked this morning and he said he'd start in the next couple of days. And then he called me just after lunch and said one of his hay deliveries had canceled and he's going to start today if that was all right. And I said, yes, please. So,
he can do both, do the haying and, wow. Okay. And those, the two things that were on the warrant, or in one article about the used 1-ton truck. Is that, how far is that?
we are waiting paperwork from the bank, basically. That's in progress. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not going to be coming in November or something.
No, as soon as the paperwork comes through, we'll have it. I'd love to see it next week. But yeah, it's imminent. It's on the ground. It's there for us. It's held for us. It's just a matter of the paperwork.
And the used, something we don't need, the sidewalk, snow blower or whatever it is.
I was waiting to secure the truck to see what was left for funds. And I have some feelers out for equipment. And once I get the truck secured, then I know what I have for funding. I'll start looking for that machine.
Between the truck, the sidewalk plow and the cruiser, we'll be borrowing more than 100,000. So I'll have to bring that to you to sign the legal form. So when that's all in order, it'll be on your agenda. I'll bring that to you.
And another question, the paving bids are way out of sight. And then you talked about skim coating and you talked about crack sealing.
Yes. Yeah, the paving bids are high, very high. So tough choices to make as to how much we actually pave compared to the road conditions.
Dan, can you give us an idea of the scale we're talking about? Is it like 50%, 100%, 200%? What are we talking?
What do you mean? What
I
number?
mean, like, we were expecting $100,000 project and it came in at 150, 200. Is it, how much extra are we talking about in terms of what you're seeing in the RFP?
The average paving bid for everything I bid out was $850,000, which is well above what we've allocated.
What do we allocate?
Well, we had the 600,000,
Yeah,
but of that, I had to deal with Cressy Road
yeah,
and I have to deal with Compton Hall parking lot.
yeah.
And so that takes a chunk. And even if we took those two out, I still couldn't pay everything I bid. We'd
Okay.
still be 250,000 over.
So we're gonna have to trim back our expectations by about 50% is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good starting point.
Okay. Just to get an idea of what our choices are gonna be.
As far as crack sealing, I've asked a couple companies for quotes. And I'm doing that as a preservation technique to try and preserve the roads that are already tar that have some cracking. I don't know what those quotes are gonna be. I got a ballpark on another town showed me what they bid out and what they got for prices, and it was higher than I expected it would be. But again, it's a preservation technique. The seal crack companies say that sealing those cracks adds 77% life to your pavement. I think that's a really optimistic number, but with the condition of our roads and and the price of pavement, I'd be happy with a 40% increase in life. So when I have those bids back, I will see what's left over and see if there's anything I can do. Bring it to you guys to make a decision. But if we don't do it this year, I think we have to seriously consider a line item next year for that to start doing some preservation, because there's no way with if the economy doesn't switch around that we're going to be able to keep up with what we have for paved roads and keep them in passable condition without doing some preservation, because we'll never get pavement on them quick enough with the price. So.
And you have certain roads in mind that would fit that what's needed for to be a fairly good road, but needing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I asked them, when I think I had 12 roads, I asked them to quote me on for crack sealing, and those 12 roads are a variation of roads that were paved within the last 3 to 4 years, all the way up to a road that was, one of them was 14 years old, but it's overall in decent shape. It's not wide cracks, it just has smaller hairline, what I'll call hairline or 4-inch cracks. Just to see what the variation would be on a road that has very few cracks, what it would cost me, and then what a road that's what we'll call alligator skin would cost me, per half mile or mile. But with the ultimate goal, just trying to keep the water out of the base of the road to help with frost heaves, to help with the tar holding its, staying together.
Thank you.
Yeah, one last question, Mr. Chair. And I just want to make sure for folks who might be listening, we don't have very many, but the plan for Beaver Brook is to leave one lane open at all times during.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, one lane open.
Chief.
Somebody get a haircut.
Yes,
Okay.
I feel about 10 pounds lighter. Good evening. I'd like to welcome the 2 new members to the board. Congratulations, and look forward to working with you both.
Thank you.
These are the new reports that you're getting off the Spillman system. It's itemized like the other one was, just a little different. You'll see on the back spreadsheet style report.
That's awesome, by the way.
You'll see that it compares last year to this year by the month, and you'll see some figures on the 21 and 22 from January to May. Those aren't representative of police department figures. Those are representative of EMS and fire calls, because they're dispatched through Winthrop. They go into the Spillman system. All those figures you see down there are rescue or fire calls that have been dispatched by Winthrop Dispatch. The month of June is a combination of both fire and police calls. And it does break it down pretty good, so you can go down through there and take a look at all the different categories and see what we're doing and what we're not doing.
So Chief, question about this, because there are a couple of things that jump out. And want to ask, actually, I think this is like super helpful. And I realize this is a new system recently implemented, so maybe some of the data from history is a little iffy. And maybe the more recent data is a little bit more accurate. And I know, having gone through lots of database conversions, that the real value happens next year and the year after and the year after, and you can sort of say, oh yeah, we're up 200% on this and we're down 100% on that, and this is real stuff because we've been recording it the same way, consistently. So with that said, I see, an example. The first one, 911 hang up, is up 1,000% in June, for example, of 2022. We did 11 calls, and it says we did like 0 same time last year for the same month.
And it's exactly because it has nothing to compare it to.
Okay, all right, just want to be sure. So then I will stop asking questions.
Yeah.
And
And
I'll,
you'll see that percentage go down as the months go by, because it's gonna have, the system will be able to
Yeah.
get more accurate, extrapolate more information out of the system and give you more accurate information.
gotcha. The one ask that I have is to do sort of at some point, a year, a cumulative year comparison. Like, how many calls did you do, up to, from January to June for this year versus last year, just so we can get a sense of the workload overall,
Sure,
10,000 foot view
sure.
would be a helpful thing.
Um,
I like that.
If you get 10,000 feet,
one of the things we are doing now with the Spillman system is where we're entering complaints into the system that haven't been entered before, that should have been.
Right, right.
So you're gonna have better documentation in this than we got through IMC, just because number one, I was IMC stupid, to put it bluntly, okay? I know Spillman very well, and I know that if someone walks into the office and requests assistance from Donna or a police officer at the station, in the past, that has not been recorded. And it should be. That's a call for service. So we're able to, Donna's now able to get on the phone and say, Bill, can you enter a call for service or citizen assist at the PD? We're tracking all our concealed weapon permits now. She'll call and say, I need a citizen assist for a concealed weapons permit. And it's just a documentation in the past that hasn't been done. So it's just systems and balances that we're trying to put in place to make it more professional.
Sure. And I imagine there's not really going to be a fair comparison until we get through an entire cycle, an entire year
Correct.
of data entry before we can fairly say, oh yeah, we did X this June, but Y last June. And here's why.
We had our first annual PD summer potluck down at Donner and Dave's camp, and I thank them both for hosting it down there. And we had a wonderful afternoon, warm, no breeze, no bugs. Everybody from the PD showed up except for one who had a prior commitment with his daughter's softball. I'm saying, what do we have, 15, 20 people there? Yeah. Good food, good fun, good bonding between everybody. And we'll continue that. I'm gonna try to do something quarterly with the guys, just so that, just build that rapport between everybody, build the family. Our charger is down in New Hampshire. Having the new lights put on it and the new control head put in it that we had already purchased out of last year's budget. That is all paid for. It's just finally, the parts finally come in and we get it set up. Some of you may have noticed, you may not have noticed the new design on the cruiser. I don't know if anybody's seen it. Looks really sharp. The guys are really proud of their design because they put it together, and just to breathe a little new life into the department. Tomorrow we have Chuck Shaw's funeral. All you know, Chuck Shaw was a former police chief here. We're going to be closing part of Academy Street for about 10 minutes tomorrow to do a summer ceremony. We're going to be escorting his remains from Roberts to the house. We're going to do a little presentation there, and so it will be inconvenience for about 10-15 minutes at the longest, but it needs to be done. We had a safety meeting at Compton Library. We're trying to put a plan together in case of a bad event, just like we're doing with the school systems. Making sure their policies are in place. Dennis Price is working on putting new policies in place that will go in front of his board for approval. And then once his policies, we'll sit down, review them, and come up with a game plan on an action report, so to speak, if something bad should happen there. And finally, last reminder, I put another pink slip on your desk, National Night Out, coming right up. I hope to see all of you there. Any questions?
Is anything, so anything that's here I can report on in my select board notes? It's,
And it's my fault, I apologize. What I didn't do was the arrest for the month of June, the breakdown on the arrests. I will get that to you, so you can add it to your report.
email.
Are operating under the influence, is that included under traffic violations?
More than likely it is, if it doesn't have its own separate agenda. It would fall under a traffic violation offense. Yeah, 'cause it doesn't fall under intoxicated person, so yeah, it would fall under the. And this report is all new to me, so I'm learning it.
Does the 9 mean that was stops, or does it mean there are convictions, or what does it mean?
No, all of that number represents is a complaint that came through the dispatch center
I see.
and was entered into our Spillman system. There are it's just pre-movement, not post-movement, so it doesn't show, if someone called in an erratic operation, it would show up as an erratic operation. It would be coded if a person was charged with OUI, it would still show up as a citizen assist or something like that, a traffic violation. But the person could have been arrested for the OUI, and that would show up as an arrest under another document.
Thank you.
So you'll send me whatever.
Yeah, I'll work on that tomorrow morning.
Okay, you mean you have to work on it? It's not here. I mean, it's not something you can punch a couple buttons and.
Yeah, with the Spillman system, there are a number of audit reports that you can do. And I have never had the opportunity to work within this audit system, so it's a matter of me going in and finding which report will generate the information that we need. And there are a lot of administrative reports in there that, because Spillman, it was designed for a jail management module. So there's prisoner stuff in there, a lot of different reports that I have to find the right report in order to extrapolate that information.
Good. Thank you.
Any questions?
I find it interesting, just looking at your monthly report here. And maybe this is related to what you might put into the minutes. I find it interesting because, 30% of the phone calls that I get from constituents have to do with traffic issues, like people are driving too fast. And so I'm looking at the report here, and 33%, almost a third of what you guys are doing, you folks are doing, are traffic stops.
Yep. We had
Interesting,
we had a big call on concern on speed on some of the roads, Maple Street, Cobussy, Main Street in particular. So I mentioned that to the guys, and I told them I wanted to step up enforcement throughout town, traffic enforcement, and they stood up to the challenge, met the challenge, and they're doing a good job. And then their warning to ticket ratio runs about, for every 100 warnings, they probably doing 10, 15 traffic citations.
That's reasonable. Yeah, the other interesting thing is that there are, last month, 15 calls for 911 hangups, which is I'm assuming this is someone accidentally calls 911 with their phone
Correct,
and you have to go and check to make sure everything's
correct.
copacetic.
Yep.
And so, having been one of those people, not last month, but last year, I put my cell phone, because I didn't want to, I wanted to drive hands-free, right? Which means you put your cell phone on the dashboard. If you have to touch it, you touch it with your finger, you don't.
Yep.
Hold it. Anyway, I put it in the little clip on the dashboard that accidentally dialed
That's an
911.
iPhone.
It is. How many of those are iPhone calls?
Probably 95% of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do it on an Android.
Yeah.
You have to,
It's a two-step process.
Yeah.
For that, it's just an accidental process.
It's an
Exactly.
accidental thing. I'm like,
exactly.
Yes.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden, someone's saying 911, can I help you? And I'm like, oh no.
And one of the things I try to impress upon the guys is you don't take any one of those 911 hangups for granted. I mean,
Right.
because you don't know.
Because you never know.
the other end.
Yeah. But it's very easy to do with an iPhone.
Are they chasing you?
No, they directed me to drive to somewhere where I could meet an officer and just say,
It's all good.
I'm good.
Well, 7 years ago, Monmouth gained some kudos because we had a very low crime rate. And it turns out that it was because the police didn't know how to report. Do you remember this?
Yep.
So it helped the town.
Well, I'm glad that we're gonna get an accurate accounting of the work that you guys are doing.
I think you'll see, it'll be a lot smoother flowing as far as the reporting coming in. But thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have anything to.
Then we're on to.
Oh, I have some questions for Justin. On the topic of the town manager.
We're gonna do select board reports, so you
Oh,
want,
okay.
you want to,
Then I'll sit
you
tight.
want to do it now?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to report. I just have a question about where we stand on the CMP substation evaluation.
I got the numbers on Thursday afternoon. So they're with Donna now to take a look at, and then she'll incorporate them. I can share them all with you if you'd like to see them.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Anything else?
No, not for me.
Okay.
Select board stuff. I don't have anything to report, just a couple of things now that I'm on the board. I appreciate everybody that supported me getting to this place. But I do a lot of work for the town, and I don't want there to be any conflicts of anything. I had a conversation with Dan the other day about the transfer station. I've had a key to the transfer station since Herb was here. Being a contractor, I'm in and out of there a lot. So I just wanted to make it known to everybody that I'm in and out of there a lot. So I don't wanna, if we start fielding calls saying the select board members get their own key to the transfer station now, but it's been a long ongoing thing. And Dan understands what's going on and said he is fine to continue that operation. And Justin and I talked about bids and stuff, work that's gonna go on for the town. And we may try to put a few more things out to bid to get other people to put it all on a fair playing field, which it always has been. But I want to make it even more so now that I'm here, just to avoid any conflict of interest or favoritism or anything that could possibly come up.
Do other contractors have this? Good keys?
Mark is the only one I'm aware of. And that was passed on to me within the first week or two of me taking over as director. I was told there'd never been an issue, and I've had no issues at all with him since I've been directing. So to my knowledge, he's the only one. With that said, just as something I've got to, I have all new keys in the padlock for the transfer station, and I'm going to be changing it out the next week or two. It was just part of, as I get to stuff and see how long. I found out that padlock's been there maybe 15 to 18 years. So there's potentially a lot of keys floating around. So I'm just gonna.
You'll find out who has keys once you change the law.
But no.
So like Rick Grant is
I thought at one point that he had one, but I can't honestly say. I've never seen him there when the facility is not open.
So should we be doing something about the fairness thing or not?
Well, I think, like Chief Ferlin said, anybody that's had a key that all of a sudden can't get in, their first call is gonna be to, the town office or to Dan saying, I can't get in. So then we'll find out, because as we know, we ran into this issue at Compton with people that had keys. And once we went to keyless entry, we solved the problem. But of course, if there hasn't been a problem at the transfer station, then it's not being abused and things like that. Where at Compton, we had no idea of the people that had keys to that building, none, because no records were there.
I had, just to expand a little bit, I changed the key to the gas pump setup fairly early on when I found out that padlock had been in place for many years as well.
Yeah.
And, I didn't present any issues, which was nice. I didn't get any calls, but it's just a matter of, just doing some security checks and
Yeah.
updating things. But like I said, I was told within the first week or two that Mark had a key, he was all set, never any issues. I've never had any issues. So, unless somebody feels we need to change it, I will provide him the key.
Okay.
So, well, who should have keys? I mean, is it a particular class of people? Contractors or, not named individuals, right?
Right. The contractors that service the transfer station, they
Okay,
have keys. My employees have keys.
I see.
But then, there's a master key for the town office held, in case the keys are lost or something, but yeah, so I inherited policy, but not a problem policy.
Just as long as nobody had. Because that's all you need about it.
The CEO had a key. Okay, well, I appreciate your using common sense to make things secure. And I also appreciate Mark's willingness to be completely transparent as the first comment on the board, and I don't have any, I don't see any need to change what we're doing if it's working.
I agree.
So the only thing I had, we had a academy rebuilding committee meeting last night, and it was asked if I would ask about once we start doing, stripping shingles, because our budget is like what we thought we'd have for what we could get for a dollar amount, obviously has changed a lot in the past 2 years. Whether or not it would make sense or the ability would be there if the loader or, the one ton was there for stripping of shingles. So we're not using other people's time and money. I don't know. And I know how busy you are, but I said I would ask, and I'm asking if it, when we get to that point, because obviously we're a ways from there. For the fine demo, if there's a pile of stuff there that needs to be moved, so if we can just think about that, and if it's a possibility that we'd be able to use our own resources as opposed to, a contractor's resources, so. More details to come.
Once we get closer, we know more, we have the scope, and we can
Yes.
certainly talk.
Yeah, because we just were looking preliminary numbers last night and figuring out what we can and can't do. That conversation is going to happen this week, so.
Did you want to say anything about the almighty waste? Problem.
Well, I don't know that we know what's going to happen with that yet. I don't know if he's responded to that letter.
Just went out Thursday.
It
So
went out Thursday, so we don't know what his response is, and, we'll know more when he responds and if he shows up here with his equipment, but that needs to be coordinated with, obviously, Paul Roop, so that if Almighty Wave's showing up to dig a hole, Paul Roop's here to look in the hole.
Yeah, we're really only in the middle of it because we signed the contract. It's really an issue between the sanitary district
Yes.
and and Almighty Waste. Really doesn't have anything to do with us.
Yeah,
So this is about inspecting the capping of the,
because they
Can you give
poured
up?
they put concrete in there, which doesn't prevent water from getting into the sewer system because concrete. It wasn't a, a PVC cap on a PVC pipe. They put concrete in there and then took pictures, but what are those pictures of? There's no context to the pictures. And they didn't consult with DigSafe. So there's been, there were some issues with that because we need to do it, or the sanitary district needs it done as the sanitary district needs it done. And Almighty Waste did not do that. So we need to have some documentation and some real pictures of that. So that's why we withheld some cash from that. So,
But he wants to do the work.
but he wants to, obviously, because he's got the equipment as opposed to asking somebody else to, us paying, or the sanitary district paying somebody to come here and do it. They have their equipment, they can come here and dig a hole with their own equipment. Yes.
He could probably do it cheaper than, or he thinks he can.
Oh, yeah,
Somebody
with
else.
his, yeah.
Yeah.
So more details to come for that. Hopefully no details to come with that. It'll just happen and take place and we'll move on from it. So.
Is there, I would ask about the dump sticker business. Is that somehow in the works? We are.
transfer station.
We're gonna, the transfer station stickers. The plan is to purchase them and have them available in October for 2023. For the 2023 year. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to do it now midway and then have half the people have them and the other half don't. So we'll start being able to issue them in October. So people can either come into the office or get them at the transfer station, and then they'll be on there for January 1, 23, and then we'll move on from there. Okay. And when Dennis records or whatever he does, can he delete what I just said about?
Now, there's, just for the record, I would like to say that we should not be editing the recording of a public meeting.
The only thing he does edit off is he cuts off the stuff that's said before 6 o'clock occasionally when it's not muted, and he cuts the stuff off after you say adjourn.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
other than that, everything in the middle stays there.
Sorry.
I was hoping-
Contrary to any conspiracy theories you might read on Facebook.
That's right. I've called it the dump a lot, because as I always say, I dump it, they transfer it, so I'm not saying anything I shouldn't. So.
Actually, you know what dump actually stands for?
I don't know.
It's an acronym.
It is.
Yes, it's the Department of Unwanted Material Possessions.
Right.
That's your new department name.
Did you make that up? Right?
I did.
And then, is there a carry forward list? I know what Dennis was concerned about. I know. I can talk to you all about that in some detail, but that is not a legal practice. We do not budget in the way that you can carry that forward. The only ways money can be carried from one or the other is to put it on the warrant. Only the townspeople can do that. So I know you've been doing it for a really long time. So I wrote to Mary to make sure that I wasn't off base, and she said we should not be doing that. So I'm not going to be bringing you a carry forward list. If you want to do that type of stuff in the future, we need to think about it during the budget and put it on the warrant, and then say if there's money in the paving line that hasn't been used and you want to carry it. It won't matter with paving anymore because we created a reserve account, but in the past it had been in the operating budget. And then I know you guys would carry it forward to use in the future, but all of the money at the end of the year lapses into the unassigned fund balance. So there's two ways to do it. You can either put the carry forwards on the warrant, or you can appropriate money out of the fund balance every year for specific purposes, but that's really the proper way to do it. But the voters have already voted to spend that money. right? But if it's in the operating, but that's why I created a paving reserve account. You have the townspeople, the only ones that can create permanent reserves. Everything else, when the fiscal year ends, it lapses into the unassigned fund balance, and then that's where it sits until the townspeople reappropriate it for a specific purpose.
So even though they have appropriated it, voted to appropriate it for a specific purpose, that just goes away, vanishes.
At the end of the year.
It's
Yep,
time
at the end- At the end of the
If
fiscal
we don't
year.
expend it within the fiscal year,
That's
then they have
correct.
to reapprove. That's what I'm hearing Justin say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Justin, can you tell us two things then? How much was added to the unassigned balance at the end of the fiscal year?
I would not know that until the audit's complete.
Okay, and then that was my next question. When is the audit?
So what we have is, we are having a difficult time putting together the information because the bank reconciliations weren't done timely. So currently we're moving to this new business management system, but in the meantime, with Angela left, we've hired somebody else to try to get those bank reconciliations all caught up. We got them caught up through the audit that's outstanding, but we don't have the financial statements put together to give to the auditor. The auditor is running out of time now because in audit season is now starting now that we're in the new fiscal year. So they've got like maybe 5 or 6 days that they can dedicate to us before they're booked out again until November or so with their big clients. So we're trying to do whatever we can, but we're really running out of time. Like it's going to be very hard for them to complete that audit in the 5 or 6 days that they can give us between now and November. So everything's kind of getting slid, and there's not a lot I can do about it. I'm hopeful that once our new business managers are on board, that they can assist us in getting all this stuff caught up, and I'm sure that they can, because they know they're auditors, so they should be able to help us get these pre-audits put together. But as you recall, this is also the first year that we didn't have a pre-auditor anymore. Our long-standing pre-auditor retired or stopped doing Monmouth. I don't know what the situation was. So we didn't have all of that work done as it had been done in the past to sort of hand to our auditor, which was all clean and all put together. We didn't have that. So they were expecting that. And then when they didn't get it, it kind of just, everything got slid. And we don't have the reports that the pre-auditor put together. Like we don't have the spreadsheets that our auditor's looking for because they were his work papers. So we have the paper, but we don't have the way to recreate all the information that he was creating for us. So we're kind of stuck. But we're doing the best we can to try to work through it with the knowledge that we have on the audit.
RKO is not going to say, forget it. We're not doing you anymore.
That's what I'm very worried about, because there are only like 3 auditing firms left in the state. And right now there's probably 30 or 40 towns that don't have auditors and they can't get them done because you see it posted on MMA RFP. It's the same town over and over again. We're one of the lucky ones that kept RKO up this size. RKO recently went around and dumped all their clients under 10,000. They let go of like 30 or 40 towns, everything under 10,000. I think they stuck with us, to be honest, because we had a pre-audit done and they could come in here, bang it out and move on. A lot of small towns, they can't do that. They get caught like we are trying to recreate the wheel for them while they're going through the audit. It slows them down.
So we're small,
We're small for them.
but they do the RSU here.
Yep.
And they're.
That's that's bigger. Yeah.
So we're currently in fiscal year 2022, 23.
23. Yeah.
All right, we're going to refer to that as 2023.
Yeah.
And we are talking about getting caught up on the audit from 2021.
2021, like starting in September, October is when they would normally do our 22, because our year just ended, June 30. By the time we would have the pre-audit done, they would be doing that in October, November
Okay,
for us.
so we're looking not at last fiscal year, but the fiscal year prior to that.
Yes. we usually would operate the fund balance information, you would generally operate about 18 months behind. That's just how long it takes for it to happen. It's just because they would engage us in our audit for fiscal year 22 this October, November, and they would give it back to us in January. You have already missed that for that whole budget season. So you're kind of always operating 2 years behind when you're looking at your fund balance. The problem is if I can't get the 21 done coming up for this budget cycle, then we're kind of in the dark about, how much we have to use. So that's what I'm trying to avoid.
There's no way we can hire somebody who would satisfy that what RKO needs.
If I could find somebody, but they don't exist. They're like code enforcement
Yeah,
officers.
that's what all the other towns are having a problem.
Right. Everybody's having this issue. And this new accounting firm might be able to assist. It might be able to assist us in the back years. It's part of their responsibility moving forward on. They will do our pre-audit for us, so this will not be an issue going forward. But once they get fully engaged, I intend to ask them if they can help us put the financial statements together. And I think he'll be able to, because he can dig around at Trio now. He's got remote access into our books for the past year. So I'm hopeful that once he's got all his systems set up, that he might be able to help us. And that's what I'm going to try to convey to RKO. So, yeah.
We're gonna have it.
Yeah, we'll have
Just
it.
give us a
Just
second.
give us a little bit. Yeah.
Are you still satisfied with our legal provider?
I would like to talk to you guys about that in the future. It's just, she's just not as quick as I would like her to be. Takes a long time to get.
This is Mary.
And when is her contract up with the town?
She had a 1-year engagement and then it's kind of it just kind of renews on a monthly basis basically after that. So I think it has like a 35 or a 45 day notice to terminate.
I know, well, Linda, I think she asked for a RFP.
Yeah, she did.
And got a number of different legal firms to like give us prices. And the one she picked it because they have a set fee for the year, like
That's correct.
12.5 or
Yeah,
something.
it's net 12,000 range. Yeah, it's a flat fee per month.
And then if we needed a lot of stuff, they would still only charge us
Right.
12. So
Yeah, the other firms weren't willing to do that. If you look at the RFP, it was an hourly rate.
So it would be tough to find somebody who would do what they're doing currently.
Probably based on those responses, because she got responses from all of the big municipal firms and none of the other ones were willing, like Pretty Flaherty didn't want to do that. Jensen Baird didn't want to do that.
And you have experience with some other legal firm
Yes,
who would do that or not?
who would do the flat rate?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh.
The ones I've worked with didn't do it like that. We paid them hourly.
And how would that turn out? Maybe we're going into this too deep.
It just depends what our legal needs are, right? So if we get sued, obviously it's going to be higher that year. In normal times, I would just kind of have to manage what I had for a legal budget. You kind of use MMA for what you can, and when you can't, you use yours. That's all. The way we have it now, I can kind of avoid. I can avoid asking MMA a lot of questions because I know it's a flat fee, so I can send them to Mary. But I would avoid that if I had to pay by the hour. 'Cause it's like, $2.75 an hour is usually what they charge.
How much per hour?
$2.75 usually.
Is that a reasonable price?
I'm surprised it's that low, actually.
I think that's all. Oh, I wanted to ask about the North Monmouth Beach. That's all. And
I think so. There's a porta potty out there. I saw that the other day. Did you guys?
I didn't have anything to do with the porta potty.
Oh, well, Joe must have got that put up there because I saw it the other day. And you're back to mowing it and everything?
Yeah, Tim Burnham called me Tuesday, said he was mowing it that day. I guess that was yesterday. And just asked me to take over from yesterday forward. I said, that'd be great. So,
And there's a trash can.
yeah, there's trash can. We've been emptying the trash right along since we got the okay, mowing. We went over there once and mowed, and then we had to skip a week due to scheduling and everything else.
It's
But
fine. It hasn't rained.
it hasn't rained, so yeah, it's all set.
And we've got it on our to-do list for the next year's warrant
Yes.
that we will dot our i's and cross our t's.
Suggesting.
He always made sure that we have a Barry Dexter Wilson Watershed Association meeting.
He made me aware of it, the 23rd.
Something like that, yeah, 23rd. And so he likes to have it look real good for all the people the 40 people or so who come from the Three Lakes.
Yeah, he asked me to have it extra spiffy. And I said I would make sure that happened.
Hey, are you guys talking about navigation buoys at that meeting?
We might bring it up, because I haven't brought it up to the directors.
You should.
I should have. Yeah. Okay. That's all. Okay. Public comment?
Nobody there.
Nobody.
Dave and Donna.
Anything
Shaking his head.
We can complain on a daily basis. If
Anything from the hecklers?
So you're all set.
So then on to consider the ballot for the MMA Legislative Policy Committee.
As you can see, Dennis and I are going head to head on this one. Dennis Price is on there too because he's. the
But we
chair
get
of
two votes,
Greenfield.
don't we? You get two
Yeah, you
votes.
do, you get 2 votes, yep.
I think I know which two I'm gonna vote for.
But Gary Lamb has. No, yeah.
This is the ballot. I need you to, well, once you vote, you'll have to all sign that.
Gary Lamb says a whole bunch of stuff about it.
I don't know him.
I don't know. I know Dennis and I know Justin.
And Dennis only has just one little-
And if I'm not happy, I can go right to Dennis. I can text him and I can text Justin. So
So
with any of my complaints.
I guess we have to make a motion.
Yes.
I make a motion that we select or vote for Dennis Price and Justin Poirier.
Second.
So there's a motion by Chris, a second by Kent to vote for Dennis Price and Justin Poirier for the MMA Legislative Policy Committee. All those in favor?
Sir. Yeah. Okay, that's gonna cost you.
And next is to consider appointing David Mills as a regular member of the planning board.
And he's an alternate right now, right?
Yes.
I make a motion, we approve or appoint, David Mills as a regular member of the planning board.
Second.
There's a motion by Chris, second by Kent to approve appointing David Mills as a regular member of the planning board. All those in favor? He's a good guy.
He's the third party inspector.
You need that.
No. Like that, no. Anyway, to consider appointing Andrew Smith to 2 different committees. First to the Economic Development Committee.
I make a motion, we appoint Andy Smith to the Economic Development Committee.
Second. So there's a motion by Kent, second by Joe to, that's different. I'm not used to saying Joe. To the Economic Development Committee. All those in favor? Thank you. And next is to consider reappointing Andrew Smith to the Conservation Commission.
I make a motion, we reappoint Andrew Smith to the Conservation Commission.
Second. So there's a motion by Kent again, and a second by Joe again. To appoint, reappoint Andrew Smith to the Conservation Commission. All those in favor? Thank you. And next to is approve,
Can I ask a question before we move on? Mr. Chair?
yes,
And this has to do with the planning board process. If Mr. Mills is now no longer an alternate and he is a planning board member, a fully voting planning board member, how do we go about appointing an alternate? What's the process?
We just need someone to apply to do it, so we get an application, and then I would bring it before you. So if you know of anybody that's interested, a lot of times planning boards kind of go recruit people of their own because they kind of know who might, who's interested in that kind of stuff. But if you know of somebody, please
And if,
let them know.
and we, in the past, I think, posted it in the Winthrop Advertiser and on the Facebook page, because as you and I talked about this past week, or last week, I guess it was, I think the rec committee does not have a quorum any longer. So
Yeah, didn't we pass a policy about appointing committee members?
Yes, you did.
And does that require us or suggest to us that we ought to cast a net that's a wide one?
Yes, there's a process about how it should be posted
Okay,
and all that stuff. It's just you kind of have musical chairs. It's like, now
right,
he wanted to be on there. So now we have a vacancy basically
Yeah.
in another place.
okay.
so
Well,
maybe if we were putting something in the Winthrop Advertiser for the planning board alternate, put the rec committee stuff in there, because I think
Yep.
I know 2 seats that are vacant, and whether or not Paul Menace is gonna,
You have 2 or 3 vacancies on the Board of Appeals too,
Yeah.
for
ever.
15 years.
Yeah, exactly. So those all, I think it would be
So let's
good
post
to
them. Let's post
post
them
all
all.
of those things. And
let's
see
give
that
people an
we're-
opportunity to apply for whatever they
Yeah,
want to apply for, and let's
exactly.
encourage some participation
Yeah,
and some
In
fresh
fact,
faces.
I know.
The listing, the current listing has somebody who is deceased for years.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe
What
it's,
you'd like to know.
maybe it's time for like a fresh look at all of our
We'll go
committees.
through all of them
openings.
and see where there's vacancies and we'll advertise it. Sure.
That'd be awesome. And then we can one fell swoop it.
If anybody applies.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the difficult part now.
I mean, that's kind of our job, is to go out and
Yeah.
find people.
Ready for me?
yes,
To do the list? Okay.
this is for 27.
The way we did it, because we were not comfortable with the 2 fiscal years, I had Lori put it all on one warrant, and what we'll do is she kept a list of which ones were from which fiscal year, and we'll go in, I'll make journal entries later to reassign them where they belong. Just because neither one of us were comfortable, and Trio's been spitting out like weird checks that aren't on the list, so we've been pulling those, and they can't figure out where these things are coming from. I mean, they're not big dollars, they're like $20 checks to people that have been issued before. So there's something screwy going on. So we go through them all manually and pull all that stuff out. But so I didn't want to add any complication to it before they fix it. Andrews Gargan Bank, $16,321, Academy Road sidewalk payment. Bernstein Shore, our legal fees, $1,041. Blue Rock Earthworks trips for waste hauling, $2,500. Business Management Systems annual license for the code enforcement software, $1,823. Cobussy Watershed District, $17,349. DR Designs, $1,223 for lifeguard shirts. Dana Westling, payment in lieu of health insurance, $5,975. Lori Walker, same thing, $5,975. Kirk Barkman, same thing, $5,975. Dennis Price, $1,711 for the same reason. Donna Shaw, $1,711. Todd Sears, $1,711. Eco Maine, $4,774. Tipping fees. Fleet truck maintenance on 3 trailers, $2,978. K&B Builders, construction of a wall at the town office, $1,886. Kennebec Valley Humane Society, $1,835. KV Cog, the annual dues, $6,667. La Rochelle Consulting, for June fees, $1,100. Maine Equalization, $2,287. That's our assessor. Maine Municipal Association, $8,318. Workers' compensation payment. Monmouth Sanitary District, $1,595 for quarterly fees. Pike Industries, $1,015 for cold patch. Santander Bank, this is the fire department, SCBA's, $24,958. That's a payment. Treasurer, State of Maine, $17,392 motor vehicle. For motor vehicles, Treasury, State of Maine, $15,098. June licenses and registrations for, I believe that's probably IF&W. Vision Government, this is our assessing software, $8,011. That's the annual fee. And the Winthrop Police Department, $29,376 for dispatch fees.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve fiscal year 2022 warrant number 27. And do you need this motion to include the other one too? Because they're combined?
Yes, if you would, that would be good.
As well as the warrant for fiscal year 2023 warrant number 1.
1 second.
So Kent made a motion to approve of the warrant number 27 for fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2023, the warrant number 1. And Chris seconded it. All those in favor? Thank you. I had one question before we adjourn. Our CEO, is there any kind of, is that straightened out or anything?
It has, at the last I heard, it has resolved itself as of Thursday. Matt is resigning and I'm working on his exact resign date, and then Richard will be coming on with more hours. So we should have somebody, I'm thinking probably closer to 20 hours a week. He'll be available to us.
Richard who?
Because Richard Greenwald, he's the current code enforcement officer in Belgrade. He lives in Litchfield, so he likes to commute here a lot better. So I think he's going to tell them that he wants to cut hours over there and come over here more because, with gas and everything, he'd rather just go to Litchfield than drive over to Belgrade every day. So,
Wow.
So hopefully that will ease up some of the complaints.
Oh, good. Great. Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
1 second.
All those in favor? Thank you.